male dominant studies.
I was going to ask, sort of, when did you first, what did you encounter your first feminist text? Can you remember what the first thing that you came across that started to shift?
Well, it should have been Virginia Woolf, I suppose, because I did read Virginia Woolf then, but she herself was misunderstood then. You know, in a way, I mean, she was treated as neurotic instead of understanding the abuse she'd suffered in childhood. So I think that all of my idealism and hope for change fastened on other countries, which is why I took a course on India, which was very rare because we were then almost always studying European countries, not any other. Right. Colonialism was alive and well in our curriculum. And so my idealism centered on India, which had just then recently become independent, and it didn't center on me at all. I didn't understand that I had any role to play except to be of service.
So you went on to, well, you started as working as a journalist, and then at some point you kind of segued into the sort of much broader, larger activism. I'm interested in how you yourself, when you think of yourself, how do you self-define? Do you?
Well, I still call myself a writer because it's what matters most to me, even though the truth of the matter is I spend more time on the road organizing, you know, doing other kinds of activism. But I have to say that writing is still the one thing that when I'm doing it, I know I shouldn't be doing anything else. As much as I love and excited by organizing and seeing groups suddenly become, I mean, okay, here we are, we're each looking at each other's backs. We are in a hierarchy. Hierarchy is based on patriarchy. Patriarchy doesn't work anywhere anymore. And so in groups like this, it's great to suddenly see discussions emerge and people, somebody over here asks a question, somebody there answers it, announcements of upcoming troublemaking meetings. The feminist library is about to close, right? And there's a demonstration against its closing. Hello, right as we speak. Okay.
Yes.
So,
yeah, as we speak today.
Right. So the rent was.
The rent was raised significantly. I think by sort of 10 to 12.
So it's just the. I mean, writing is personal, but I'm very grateful that I couldn't get published what I thought I hoped to publish about the women's movement, and therefore I ended up in desperation going out to speak, even though I thought I was going to die. And
that's
still,
how I felt when I first gave my speech. I was really convinced that I was going to die.
Well, all I've learned is you don't die, but I
you
still
lose
my saliva. Is that a symptom of nervousness?
Oh, do you get really dry mouth?
Right. Each tooth gets a little Angora sweater on it.
I just shake, and I'm just really embarrassed and conscious of the fact that I can see that people can see me shaking. So trying to keep my hands out of view is part of, and then I try and introduce them later on so that I don't look really stiff. And also just my mind goes blank often if I'm very nervous, which is really frustrating because I would have prepared for something a lot, and then my mind will go blank.
But is that different for you when you are being a different person?
It's interesting. It's been both the most liberating and terrifying thing, speaking authentically for myself as Emma, but also terrifying. There's a freedom in speaking somebody else's words and pretending to be someone else, but also you kind of, it's not as meaningful. It's a transcendent, amazing experience. I love what I do, but to speak from my own experience was really meaningful for me. Yeah.
And I think it's so remarkable and admirable that you've taken a year off from, admirable work to do feminist activism, to do the United United Nations campaign. It's really, how shall I say, even though you're acting another role, I think people come to know you on screen, right? And I think we trust you.
I hope so.
And that is why,
I hope so.
that is why it is so great and important that you are taking that trust and putting it to work by giving out activist information, by doing lists of books for people, that's very precious and unusual. Don't you think?
Well, I mean, I guess if there were anything I had to hide, it would have come out by now. It's been.
And me too.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the public eye for a little while now. It's been pretty crazy, but it's great to get to do this with it. I'm interested. You've spoken about the fact that marriage laws once meant that marriage wasn't equal for men and women, but that feminists and the feminist movement has managed to change marriage enough to mean that it is possible to have an equal marriage. But when we enter into it, there are all sorts of traditions that come along with it, and I'm interested in how do you have a marriage that is authentically, genuinely grounded in equality, mutual respect, for the idea of if you do want to have a family or you do want to have a career, and what do you see as being the kind of booby traps or the kind of the mines that might be involved in that for a feminist?
Well, that's a big question, and
Yeah.
we all get to answer it in our own lives. But it is important that the law is more equal now, at least in our two countries. It's still very unequal in many others. But if I had married when I was supposed to get married, I would have lost my name, my credit rating, my legal domicile, and most of my civil rights. So we have made that part equal. And we have marriage equality. It's very important that everyone who chooses to marry is able to marry. At least we almost have marriage equality. We're on our way to marriage equality. But there is still the pressure of the outside world that when you leave your door of your household means that you are treated differently. Women with children are way less likely to be employed, and men with children are way more likely to be employed because they are perceived as responsible, and women are perceived as distracted. So I think it's not going to equalize completely in isolation, and we need to help each other make changes. You are far ahead of my country in terms of parental leave. We have no such thing, really, not even for maternity. I mean, we're way behind where you are. And the Scandinavian countries are ahead of where you are, so we can learn from each other. But I really, if you choose to have children, I don't think it's possible to have a real equal marriage